Welcome to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Toor. आप सबनू प्यार भरी सत श्री अकाल, नमस्कार, आदाब and shalom. First of all, my apologies for being absent for some time because as you were informed previously, and now I'm telling you again that I ran for New York State Assembly District 17, and I'm back, and I will try to be more regular like it used to be than being absent and having rerun of the shows. But that was also important. You can be in touch with me on hstoor@gmail.com if you have any questions. And I can tell you something, from this my run for the assembly, which I will talk in detail when soon. It was a great experience, and when I threw in my hat in the ring, I knew I'm not going to win because it was basically a red district. So what I learned, what I came across, that will be one thing which I will talking about. Number two, now Republicans control all three branches, the White House, they control the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. They are controlling all three branches of that. So how and what, we will see. And also there is another, we will know by the end of the day tomorrow in the Senate. Mitch McConnell was planning to leave the Senate by the end of the year. At that time, the calculations were, which even I myself was like that, okay, I was not definite about the Trump's win, but I was not definite about Kamala's win either, even though I did put out some video in favor of Kamala. But, the more I went out, the more I found out what was going on and what the ground realities are. And, that is something which needs to be dissected. Like every election, after the election is over, the people do their own calculations and everything. But there is one thing which I said and which is constant. When previously Donald Trump ran and won the election, the media, MSNBC, CNN, the other Washington Post, the New York Times, they were all talking about his character. We already know that. There was nothing to discuss about his character. What needed to be discussed about was that how his policies are going to affect the Americans in future. Let us talk about, this in proper perspective. The presidential elections, when they are held, whatever the policies are implemented, it takes time to get to the ground. Whatever investments Joe Biden did, I can bet my life on it today that people are going to give credit to Donald Trump because the benefits are going to flow in another year, year and a half, maybe 2 years' time. Because right now those businesses are getting established, the factories are being built, and there is going to be more manufacturing of high-end products, the chips which go into your smartphones, your laptops, your desktops and everything. Not only that, there is already a race going on for artificial intelligence, and Joe Biden has put in the pieces in place to make America the top one in AI as it was in the computers and in the chips. Even though as of today, China is a little bit way ahead of America on artificial intelligence. But the investments done by Joe Biden, they will make the difference. Again, yes, I have admitted here before, and I will admit again that I am fan of Joe Biden. There are a couple of reasons, but this is not the platform to discuss those reasons why I am fan of him. I'm talking about the policies which get implemented. Okay. For example, I will give you why, what is the issue for me with Donald Trump. To begin with, for me and for my kids, he is not a role model. Simple. Yeah, he is a president of the United States. He won his presidency second time, but again, for me, he is not my role model. Why? Because there is nothing which I can tell my kids that I am proud of Donald Trump because of X, Y, and Z. Number two, he talks about undocumented illegal. Every time, you turn on the channel, the advertisements and everything, it was like, I'm going to, round up all these illegals and I will deport them, I will do this, I will do that. Question. Melania Trump was illegal. He made her legal. He married her. Then he had a son from her. She got her family here after getting first her green card from Donald Trump and getting her citizenship from Donald Trump. Okay? So, for me, logically, a person who is calling, it's like, cattle calling the pot black. What are you talking about? But somehow, the people who went out and voted, I have no idea that what they were thinking. Well, I can't say that. I think I do gather some ideas when I was out there on the trail knocking on the doors, what the people were thinking. And then I also spoke to, some non-Caucasian, non-whites about it. And there were some white people, some Caucasians who literally were happy to see me knocking on their door, and they commented on that. But, I will talk on that in the next segment. Let us stay on Trump right now. So, they are already talking about with the Stephen Miller and the new czar he has appointed for the border, which originally was Barack Obama had, who deported the maximum number of people. Remember, even today, it was Barack Obama who deported the maximum number of undocumented people. Not Trump, not Joe Biden. I don't know about this term, how it will end up, but these are the facts right now as we talk here today on November 12, 2024. Okay? So all these things which we have been talking about, which I have been talking to you, and I am trying to make some, maybe some sense out of it. I was on one of the interview with one, I got interviewed along with my opponent who was a Republican, and the question came up about the climate. And I will never forget that there was a hurricane which actually hit Florida and Alabama, and it was called Sharpie Gate. People don't remember it. We have very short memory. What was Sharpie Gate? Sharpie Gate actually was where Donald Trump grabbed a Sharpie. I hope we know what Sharpie is. And he actually literally drew the route of the hurricane, which was not hitting Florida, not hitting Alabama as predicted by the scientists and the National Weather Services. No. And some of the people from that National Weather Services, they actually bend backward to accommodate what the president was saying. And guess what? People ended up paying with their lives because hurricane hit where it was going to hit, not where Trump said it will hit. Okay? Number two, during the election time, there were two major hurricanes, and North Carolina got devastated, Florida got devastated, and while the services were there, even the people on the ground, even though those were Republican controlled counties, Republican controlled states, they were saying that we are getting all the help which we need, but Trump was lying all the way that people are not being given the help, it's not reaching there, it is not happening. And then on top of that, we have Elon Musk, who controls X right now, which was known as Twitter before. And every biggest lie which used to first checked and thrown out, no, not anymore. He let it go, and he actually contributed to some of the lies in there. Why? Because, you know, he actually was not invited to one of the event which was hosted by Joe Biden, and he was upset about it. And let's not forget that either. Elon Musk also is not American born. Okay? So he got the green card and then the citizenship. And actually there is an investigation going on that he may have lied on his citizenship application, and if that comes to be true, then he may end up losing his citizenship, his green card, and get deported. Let's take a break. After the break, I will be right back. Welcome back to Mainstream with Harpreet Singh Toor. So continuing where I left. So, you know, there is a lot of information which needs to be shared and dissected and discussed and talked about. But there is one thing, which I definitely should have said at the beginning of the program, but somehow I didn't, but I am saying it here now. There were incidences of, hate against the Gurdwara and the Hindu temple in Canada. Okay. I have always said this thing, and even when I go out speak publicly, I always say this thing, that none of the religion preaches violence, but maximum violence takes place in the name of religion. Pick up the history of the world. That wars got started in the name of religion. The wars ended by compromising. So those people, irrespective of what their faith is, whether those are fake Sikh or fake Hindus or whatever you want to call them, they have no idea about their faith, because any person of faith will never ever attack any other place of worship, period. It did happen here in Melville and Long Island some time back. It did happen in California also. No, those are the lines which should never be crossed, doesn't matter what. And I will share another information with you here. Okay. Everybody talks about 84 in Punjab in India, right? But in Punjab, the communal violence did not take place. The Hindus and Sikhs, they did not turn against each other. Actually, there is a writer, a professor who retired, Varyam Singh Sandhu. Read his life. He actually saved 13 lives, and he was charged that he attacked those people, 13 people. And he ended up spending time behind the bars and everything to get his name cleared. But no communal violence. So this thing should be just like they say, nip it in the bud. Okay. So let's be a little bit more sincere to our faith and stop this nonsense and idiocy right now. Now coming back to my election. Okay. You are looking at the person right now who, when landed in the United States, I came with a green card. It doesn't mean that I'm saying anything otherwise to those people who came across the border or otherwise, but I'm just trying to put the things in proper perspective so that the viewers, you can understand what I'm talking about. Okay? When I landed here, I came with a green card. I still remember I landed on January 16, 1983, flight number 101, Air India, and I landed at Kennedy Airport in New York City and headed to Cleveland because that's where I was joining my wife and planning to start my new life in America. Yeah, I went around, could not get the job. I got a part-time job. Then I got some interviews. Interestingly, there were people, at least 2 instances, where I got interviewed with one of the really good corporations. Let's leave the names out. The person who actually made arrangement for me to get interviewed, they called him back and they told him that we do like him, but he has to come in without beard and turban, which means I have to go clean shave. Okay? I refuse to compromise on those articles of faith, like they say here. Okay? Now, same person, me, Harpreet Singh Toor, an immigrant, was given an assembly ticket by one of the major party of the United States by a Democrat. The Democratic Party gave me the ticket to run for assembly. I know that when I was running, I'm running in a red district. I knew it. Even before I headed in, I was aware what I'm heading into. But then again, how do I prove that America is inclusive, not exclusive? This is what it is. And then I went into, the election mode, door knocking. Of course, the mailing was part of it. There was something, which when I was marching, I was knocking on the doors, which I want to share with you. It is not, I don't have anything against anybody who even said something more derogatory to me, insulting to me, because I feel sorry for that person's intellect and their knowledge and their understanding. So, what happened was, let me, like they say, what do you want to hear, the good news first or the bad news first? I'm going to give you the bad one first, and then I will share with you the instances. When I spoke to my campaign manager that, okay, I'm going to go and start knocking into this particular neighborhood, and he suggested to me, he said, Harpreet, I will not recommend that you should go in there. So I told him, I said, listen, you may recommend, you may not recommend, but I'm going to go in there and I will knock on the doors. Okay? So he had no choice, but he had to go with me. And I told him, I said, listen, I understand. Okay? Let's keep our distance. You just stay on the street, guide me the doors, which houses to knock on, or I will go and knock on the houses. So I was doing that. All of a sudden, this house, I knocked on the door. This young person in his late 30s, well built, everything, came out. We're not going to vote for you. We don't want any crap from New York City coming here, making Long Island dirty. We want Long Island the way it is. We love this place. We da 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 da. He went on and on and on. For a moment, I thought that I should just confront him by asking him a simple question. So you are calling me crap? But then, within my mind, I was like, if I ask him that question, then there will be another question. So instead of doing that, let me go out and knock on the other doors. I still said thanks to him and I walked away. There were people who literally closed door on my face, okay, which is expected when you do the door knocking. Okay. Then I came across this one of the Haitian immigrant who was working in the backyard, and I knew that he is working. Sun was about to go down, and after sundown, the door knocking is not recommended. So I was not doing it after the sundown. So I was like, I decided to, that he is working. Let me go and speak to him. So I asked him if I can speak to him for a moment, and he was like, I'm real busy, but yeah, tell me what. So I told him that I'm so and so. I'm running as a Democrat for New York State Assembly. You are part of my district, and I look forward to having your vote. And he said to me, he said, I'm Haitian. I am born here in the United States. My family came from Haiti. After President Trump made that statement in Springfield, Ohio, the Haitians are eating cats and dogs, he said the kids I grew up with, who were friends with me, they are not my friends anymore. They are not even talking to me, and they started coming to me and calling me I'm a dog eater, a cat eater, and they were asking me if we really do eat cats and dogs. That divisions being created, that's what I'm talking about. Now coming to the good part. Okay. This gentleman opened up the door, and when I introduced myself, he said, I have already voted for you. I said, thank you. And he said, I'm a Democrat. I said, that's even good to hear. And then also he said that I have been living here for 20 years and I have not seen a single candidate ever coming and knocking on my door. I said, well, now you cannot say that because you do have a candidate knocking on your door. And in the next breath he said, you know which neighborhood you are walking around? I said, yeah. He said, well, but let me say something here. I said, go. He said, watch your back and be careful when you go around. I said, okay, I'll try to do that. Then, there was another lady I had conversation with. She was very honest, very clear-minded, and she told me that okay, she hasn't voted yet, but he intends to vote and he will vote for me. But she also said, without asking, she said, you don't see that many signs, the Democratic signs around here. I said, yeah, I see a lot of Trump signs, but not that many Democratic signs. She said, number one, you don't have that many Democrats in this neighborhood. Number two, we don't believe in escalating the fight, the division within the community. We already have that division. If we put up the signs, the chances are there will be a more division in the community, and we want to live here with our neighbors without showing up our identity. I went to another part of the district, and in that part, in the whole block, both sides, not a single sign, either Democrat or Republican. Why? Because mutually they decided that we will not put up any sign so that the people who do not live on the block to come in and create problems. And then there was another gentleman. As soon as I knocked on the door, I introduced myself. He was like, I have already voted for you, but no other Democrat, which means he voted Republican, but he voted for me as an assemblyman on the Democrat. And I was curious. So when I asked him, he said, well, you know, I understand the politicians are politicians and they lie, they don't keep their promises, And then he said there was something which you posted on Israel, Gaza, Hamas war sometime back. I read those comments of you. And I remember those comments which you were made, those were sincere comments, and those were true comments coming from somebody who is more sincere about having an end to this fight than, you know, destroying what we already have. You know, those kind of experiences, you just cannot have it unless you go out and knock on the doors. Those kind of experiences, I came out of this experience, I would say to myself, I don't know how the people will look at me, but I say to myself that I came out of this experience as a better person with more understanding about how, irrespective of how the people react, people have their short memories and everything, but how not to give up the hope. And that is something which one of the gentlemen who opened up the door told me. He said, listen, you may not win this time, but don't give up. We need people who put their neck out during tough times so that once the tough times are over, that person can actually lead to the better place or make this place better. And that is something which needs to be learned, which needs to have. We should share that. We should know that. With that note, till next time, good night and good luck.